The night of August 7th, 1963, slowly turned into the early hours of August 8th. On a quiet, Buckinghamshire farm called Leatherslade Farm, the gang gathered one by one. They arrived in separate vehicles, keeping headlights off as much as possible. It was the perfect hideout, isolated, surrounded by fields and far away from curious neighbors. The robbers had chosen the location carefully, and tonight, all their planning was finally coming together. Inside the farmhouse, the atmosphere was tense but focused. Maps of the railway line were pinned to the walls. A large wooden table was scattered with tools: pliers, wire cutters, gloves, and balaclavas. Ronnie Biggs checked his watch constantly, pacing back and forth. Bruce Reynolds, calm yet tense, was giving final instructions. Everyone knew their role. No mistakes were allowed. Outside, the gang's 2 vehicles were ready. A Land Rover and a large truck painted dark green. They needed the truck to carry the heavy sacks of banknotes. The Royal Mail train usually carried about 300,000, but tonight was different. Due to a bank holiday, cash deposits were unusually high. The inside sources said the high-value packages coach was loaded with $2.6 million, an unbelievable amount in 1963. As the clock hit 2:30 a.m., the men began preparing to leave the farmhouse. Boots were tightened, balaclavas pulled over faces, and gloves put on. Bruce Reynolds whispered, "No talking unless necessary. No violence unless absolutely forced. We're professionals, not thugs." The men nodded silently. Meanwhile, on the railway line near Bridego Bridge, another part of the gang was already waiting. They had arrived earlier in the night and set up the tools needed to stop the train. The main task was to place a glove-covered glove on the signal light, a fake green signal that would trick the driver into stopping the train exactly where they wanted. It took precision, but they had practiced it many times. Back at the farmhouse, Bruce gave the final countdown. "We move now." The engines started softly and the vehicles rolled out into the night. The countryside roads were empty, and the gang drove with lights dimmed. Every man in the vehicle could feel his heartbeat pulsing through his gloves. Months of planning, and now everything depended on the next hour. As they approached the location near Bridego Bridge, the vehicles stopped a few hundred meters away. The robbers stepped out quietly, communicating only with hand signals. They moved into position around the track, hiding behind bushes and the bridge supports. At 3:10 a.m. in the distance, a faint rumble echoed through the valley. The Royal Mail train was approaching. The hum of the diesel engine grew louder and louder, cutting through the stillness of the night. The men crouched down. This was the moment they had rehearsed for, the moment where one mistake could ruin everything. Driver Jack Mills, guiding the train through the darkness, saw what he believed was a green light ahead. He slowed the engine down, confused for a moment because he did not expect a signal there. But the rules were clear. A green signal meant proceed, but the next signal was red. So he stopped the train between the 2 signals. As soon as the brakes hissed and the wheels stopped moving, the gang launched into action. Several men climbed onto the locomotive, moving swiftly and silently. Others rushed toward the high-value packages coach. Everything was happening exactly on schedule. Inside the locomotive, Jack Mills had no idea what was happening. Suddenly, masked men burst in, and before he could react, he was overpowered. One of the robbers hit him on the head, a moment the gang later regretted, because it went against their plan to avoid violence. Mills collapsed, stunned but still conscious. While that happened, another group uncoupled the rear carriages, so only the engine and the high-value coach could be moved. The train's second man, David Whitby, tried to call for help, but he was grabbed and tied up. Within minutes, the robbers had complete control of the front part of the train. Now came the most difficult part, moving the separated portion of the train to the bridge where their truck waited. But something unexpected happened. The gang had trained one of their own men to drive the locomotive, but when he tried to operate it, he realized he couldn't. The controls were far more complicated than they had expected. Panic began to rise for the first time that night. Bruce Reynolds looked furious but kept calm. "Get Mills up," he ordered. The injured driver, dazed but conscious, was forced to operate the train and move the coach to the pickup point. Slowly, the train rolled forward toward Bridego Bridge. The robbers sprinted alongside it as it moved. The plan was still alive. And now, the most dangerous phase of the operation was about to begin.